Alright, I'm back on Crusader Kings 3. I'm on the A Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones mod. And the plan is this time I'm just going to give a little rating of how I think each major house, each house that actually owns a massive area, plays on, the War of Five Kings starting scenario. I'm not going to be including anyone from Essos. No one in the Stepping Stones either, because I don't really know how the Stepping Stones play. I've never played them. No one in Essos, even though I have played them, they're not really involved and nothing to do with the War of Five Kings. And I'm not going to be counting the Wall, and I'm not going to be counting Mance Rayder either, or Crast obviously. So, other than that, I'm going to be discussing them all. Every major house. So to start off with, I'd say the worst one is probably Stannis down here at Dragonstone. If you want to go play a Stannis, you should do one of the other two starting scenarios, either a Clash of Kings or a Feast for Crows. Because on this one he's pretty crap. He's got 6,000 troops, which is awful. He has the lowest out of everyone, like every major player, 6,000 troops. And he can't even capture the Stormlands because the heir to it is Joffrey, not Stannis. So if something does happen to Renly, he isn't going to be able to garnish them troops like he did in the show and book. It's going to be Joffrey who gets them troops. So even though he has a war goal, there's not much point in using it. If you are going to play a Stannis, you're probably better playing, one of the other time zones where he actually is a very, very good character to play and he's a very viable person to actually win the game. But here he's a bit crap, so Stannis probably in last place. Next I've got to put the Vale, because they don't have great troops. They have 16,000. It's not awful, to be fair. Decent troops, especially compared to what Stannis had. But they're not really involved. It's very, very hard for them to get involved. Obviously, because Robert Aaron's a child, and a pretty crap child at that. Because he's a child, he has a lot of other negatives to him playing as House Aaron. Because obviously he has no heir, really. I think his heir isn't even part. Yeah, his heir's not part of House Aaron. He has no heir in House Aaron. He's a child who isn't going to be able to start actually really getting involved in war. So yeah, he's kind of just going to sit there neutral in the War of Five Kings, and you might be able to make something out of it afterwards. But actually during the War of Five Kings, he's a bit useless. So I guess if you're playing the long game, House Aaron might be a fun one to play. But usually I just wouldn't bother. Next I'm going to put the Iron Islands. They are involved, they're in a war. They have obviously the North has a hostage on them, which isn't great, so they can't really do much with the North straight away. But they have a war against King Joffrey. It's a war they would never win, because they have no allies and they have 14,000 troops, which it's not bad by any means, but compared to who they're fighting against, it's absolutely nothing. So I'd say the Iron Islands are here, even though they're in a war. The only way they're ever going to win that war is either through assassinating Joffrey, which they can do, and then they just get independence, or by hoping the North does a good enough job in their side of the war and then just sneaking in and capturing the city while no one's looking. But yeah, they're not really a major player, and 9 times out of 10 you're just going to be defeated in the war and made back part of the Iron Throne, and then you're just going to be neutral for the rest of the game. So yeah, that's why they're here. Probably should be using numbers. I'll put numbers in the video, probably I'll edit them in. Dawn coming in next, because once again they're an interesting one, but you don't really get an option to join the Northerners. If you got an option to join the war on the Northerners side, they'd definitely be one of the more interesting ones to play, but you don't. So you just kind of remain neutral. You either remain neutral or you join it on the side of King Joffrey. Joining on the side of King Joffrey, you're just joining a winning war, a war that's already pretty much won. So yeah, I wouldn't really be too fussed about Dawn. Once again, Martell might be really good to play if you go in like a long game. If you go try and get a independent Dawn, it might be quite an interesting play style. But usually I wouldn't really bother with them, especially not in the War of Five Kings. So now we're actually in the decent ones. Everything now is like one of the better ones to play. And obviously straight away I'm probably going to go Stormlands next, because I don't even think Renly really has a claim on the throne on this time save. It's a bit unfortunate for Renly, because you're going to have to play the long game with him. I don't think he has a claim on the throne against Joffrey really. And if he does have that claim on the throne, he's going to be able to get the Tyrells to help him like he does in the book and show. So he's a bit buggered. If you're playing long game, Renly might be quite fun to play. You have a lot of troops in the Stormlands. You know, probably the highest out of everyone we've talked about so far. 27,000. I say I'm just throwing off that 22,000. Yeah, so the highest amount of troops out of everyone so far. But even still, it's just going to be kind of either joining Joffrey's war and beating the North in a war that's already won, or just remaining neutral until at some point you can do something. But it's going to be you're going to be playing the long game. Next, I'm going to have the Tyrells. See, the Tyrells are probably a very, very good one to play, I'd say. Lots of good characters in the House of the Tyrell. Like that. Marjorie's good. Well, where they can also score pretty good alliances, especially Lois and Marjorie. They have by far the highest amount of troops as well, out of everyone in the game. Obviously, they're already stuck in a war with the North, and they have a massive amount of troops. So yeah, I'd say the Reach is quite a good one to play. They have the highest troop number, they have a pretty good family line, and they're already locked into a war. It's kind of the sort of thing though, the only reason they're not higher is because you play them once or twice, and then you've kind of done everything like you can do in the War 5 things, and there's not much options with them. Like, you can't back out of the war in any way, and you can't, do you know what I mean, you can't really oppose Joffrey in any way, you have no claim on the Iron Throne. So yeah, even though they are an interesting one to play, I would say they're a bit lacking there. They'll be good as soon as you get in, but it's going to die down quite quickly, especially when you already played them once or twice. Next we have the Riverlands with House Tully. Once again, another house with a lot of troops. They're still in the War of 5 Kings, but they're on the side of the North. They're on the losing side, which I'd say, you know, I think they're the only one so far that we've covered that is actually on the losing side of the War of 5 Kings. But yeah, it's quite a challenge to play as them because they have no natural defences, and they're being invaded from the Crown Lands, the Reach, and the Westlands. And if the Vale gets involved, the Vale as well. So yeah, I'd say they're quite a difficult one to play. Straight away, they're quite a difficult one to play. Even though you've got a lot of troops, it's got to be even though you've got a lot of troops, it's got to be very, very hard to hold the Riverlands. House Tully's quite a good house though, and obviously they're backed by the Starks in the north, but they don't have any of the natural defence that the north has. So yeah, they're an interesting one, but considering they're actually absolutely surrounded, only way you could really play them is if you go in that more long game, you can re-establish the Trident, the independent Trident with Harrenhal and all that, which is actually quite a fun thing to do. But talking just in the War of 5 Kings, they're still good to play, but they are on the losing side, they are difficult to play. And you are going to be relying a lot on the AI or the other player that you're playing with, who plays as the North, to help you out. Next I'm going to go into Westlands. By far the one of the rich ones, got a lot of troops, only second to the Reach, actually maybe the North, I don't know. Yeah, only second to the Reach for troops, good troops. Tyrell Lannister's great character, he's got great skills, and he's Tyrion is one of the most fun characters to play because of how high his intrigue is. You can just do plots against everyone because of how good his intrigue is. They have a lot of money, by far the richest out of all the houses, and they have very high prestige. Obviously they're locked into the war with 5 Kings on the side of Joffrey. They have a lot of claims on pretty much everything, to be fair. Best claims. Yeah, I'd say the Westlands is by far one of the bigger ones, but it's just going to be ones of... It's very near impossible to get a Lannister on the throne, like within the first 20-30 years of playing. It's not like all the Lannisters that are currently alive, none of them are going to sit on the throne. You won't be able to get a Lannister through later by doing maybe a careful marriage or Marcella or something like that, but even then the children that you get from it aren't going to be like in bed. so I'm not too sure about it, but they are a fun one to play. They have a lot of money. They can just host events if you want to, with the amount of money they get. They have good prestige, good amount of troops, and they're locked into the war, and they are on the forefront of the war, next to the Riverlands. Other thing you could do with them is you can try and establish the Rock, the like independent Westlands, but it's a relatively hard thing to do, and you're going to say it's a relatively hard thing to do. If somebody else is already striving for independence, you can do it, or you could also try and do it while everyone else is already at war with the North. That might be quite an interesting thing to try. But yeah, they're obviously next. In second place, I'm putting the North themselves with Robb Stark. By far, probably the best known, the most well known out of all the people that you can play as the Starks. They have a massive area, a good amount of troops, and they're locked in a big war. From straight away, they're in their own realm of the North, which also owns the Riverlands. There's not really a negative thing you can say about the North, to be fair. They're going to be a very, very interesting one, a very fun one to play. And it's a war that will be difficult to win, but it isn't like impossible to win. It's not like what Balon Greyjoy is dealing with. You could easily win it, but it is going to be quite a challenge, especially when you first start playing. But yeah, I'd say the North is probably one of your ideal starting ones. And in this time zone anyway, you could do one. You could use, and you could also have a strategic marriage with Robb at this point because he's not betrothed to anyone. If you play any of the other time zones, he's either, well, he's not in the final time zone, he's dead. And in the time zone just after this, he's already betrothed to Walder Frey's daughter. So I'd say, you know, if you want to play as the North, this is the best time to play as the North. All of the Starks are alive. I don't know if you can actually run into Arya. I've never run into Arya while I've ever played. If anyone knows, if you can, let me know in the comments. But I've never run into him just while playing. But yeah, I'd say the North is up there for the second place. And in first place, we've just got the Crownlands with King Joffrey. By far the most potential you can do. He can garnish a stupid amount of troops. He has alliances with everyone. He starts off in a war with the North, which, unless there's a player playing as the North, you're gonna win. And after that war, you own the entirety of the Iron Throne. You're in the best position ever. So now you just, you know, prepare for the Targaryen threat, do all that. You know, prevent a massive independence war. You can start dealing with stuff across the sea in Essos. I'd say, and obviously because you're King Joffrey, you can do what you want, and he's never going to have negative stress about it because he's an absolute lunatic. So I'd say in this time period, Joffrey's by far the best one to play, and he's by far the easiest one to play when first starting out. And when you just want to do something crazy on the game, I'd also say he's the one I'd recommend personally because of the amount of things you have access to. Obviously, he's a decent character, he's nothing awful. The only concern you have is Tommen and Marcella are awful characters. So if something does actually happen to Joffrey, you're going to be playing some crap people. Although they are at an age where they can turn that around, but still. And the only other negative is that he has a disputed heritage, which means he's, you know, he's going to have a massive legitimacy loss, which means people are striving for independence. But other than that, I'd say he's, you know, he's by far first. He's the best one to play straight away, and probably the most fun one to play later on. He's got the most replayability. You can do the most of him. So yeah, in the time of A War of Five Kings, I'd definitely put Joffrey as the ideal starting person to play, and the ideal person if you just want to mess about. And other than that, in that corresponding order, and I know the old opinion of Stannis don't play him is a bit, say, controversial, but if I load back off this, I know exit game to main menu, just to prove if you are going to play Stannis, don't play in this time zone. Bookmarked, a Clash of Kings. Look, he owns all of the Stormlands at this point, and in Feast of Crows, yeah, he owns a massive area. He owns all this area. He has probably got a massive amount of troops. Yeah, I'd say this is when you want to be. If you want to play a Stannis playthrough, this is where you want to play it. Not here, when he's stuck on, you know, that little island with 600 troops. You're never going to get anywhere. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, and if you disagree with my opinion of them, put it down in the comments.